Jr., who is a multi-certified exercise and movement teacher, one of the first in the US with over 35 years of experience. Emory has immersed himself in the study of a myriad of disciplines, including but not limited to dance, qigong, martial arts, yoga, bodywork, Pilates, somatic movement, and strength and conditioning systems. So he's gone for total involvement, pursuing decades of study on 3 different continents, and trained hundreds of teachers across the world. So he's a health and fitness pioneer and innovator, creator of EM LifeWork Technique, method, fitness, wellness, and body harmony. And resident of Brooklyn, New York, teaches and educates young people, and founds the Emory Studio to create a wellness arts organization. So welcome, Emory. You'll be talking on release techniques, soft tissue manipulation, and postural correctives for potential relief of discomfort and pain. And you'll also be releasing a new online course soon, which will be good. So welcome. Good to have you here.
Good to be here, and I'm sorry I had to put you through reading all of that. It's probably like my 10th bio that I'm working on, and I have to shorten it, and it never seems to get quite the way I want it to, but what can I say?
All work in progress, like life.
Yeah. So I see a couple of faces there. I don't know if my screen will show everybody. Let me see if I can do a gallery view, because I like to see people. Oh, there everyone is. That makes me feel so much better. I am a participation person, everybody, and I don't know if there's a manual mute on or something, but I feel free, if you're not muted, to chime in anytime you want. You can interrupt, you can ask questions. This virtual thing is a little strange for me. I'm actually used to being in, with people. I've done some online stuff, of course, before, but I prefer to connect with people as deep as I can. So everybody ready? See me a nod or something. There you go. I got a thumb. I got another thumb. Awesome. And you feel free to unmute, really. I really don't mind hearing your voices. It's fine. So, very complicated. I was asked to do something today on pain, and, it's a big responsibility. I've worked with people doing therapy over 30 years, and this is true. And it's therapy just because of the pathologies and things that I've had to deal with. I'm not a licensed physical therapist, nor did I claim to be, but I'm very good at fixing people. And that's my claim to fame. So we're going to just dig into some practical things, because otherwise, to me, it isn't worth our time. First thing I'd like to start with is just a quick couple of exercises that I call prerequisites, and then we can start to dig into some stuff that I hope you guys can use. So I want you to start just doing some belly breathing really quickly. You've probably done this 1,000 times, but I have to know that you at least have some fundamentals with the breath, because that's going to be a big deal when we start to play with some other things. Is that okay? I'm getting nods. Good. Okay, so quick and easy is just going to be place your left hand on the abdomen, place your right hand on the chest. The idea is to do all of the breathing through the nose unless you have an obstruction. When you inhale through the nose, your left hand should physically move out as you allow your abdomen to swell. That indicates that you've gotten the air low enough. When you exhale, I should literally see your hand go in towards your body, because you're drawing in the abdomen and the diaphragm up and out. That's the quick version. The right hand should not move. You're just having a little feedback here just to know that the breath is getting deep enough so you're not breathing superficially. I just want you to do this 3 times. So I'm going to ask you to do that on your own. Inhaling through the nose. Allow the abdomen to swell. The left hand should physically move out. Don't force anything. As you exhale, draw it in, and it should physically move in the navel towards the spine. And you should feel some more security as the abdominals start to engage and do their thing. Not trying to have you do a deep dive, just make it comfortable. It's really about checking function more than it is anything else. Just want to remind your body to breathe a little deeper and from the right place, because this is a big deal when it comes to being able to control yourself and to alleviate any kind of discomfort. So if everybody could do that, it was a quick one, but I think everyone can do that. Yes? Can I have some nods or some amens or something? Some thummies? Yeah, I like the thummies. All right, cool. Now, really quick, second one that we're going to do, and this one we're going to use a lot, and this requires a little bit more concentration. So if I were to do the breath in front of you, you wouldn't be able to tell. And the only way you'd be able to tell is if you physically had your hands on me, and that's only when I told you where I was directing the breath. The idea of this one is to think of yourself as a long tube. Tubes are three-dimensional. You got the front, you got the sides, you got the back, you got the bottoms. So this time I'm going to ask you again through the nose to send the breath straight down. It's like an hourglass. The aperture is very small and you're filling up the bottom on purpose. And the idea of this is to be able to explore increase the internal force on purpose. And then we'll go directly into an exercise that uses this. Just do this twice because this can take up a little bit of time. I'm speaking fast. If you find that I'm speaking either too fast or we're going too fast, you let me know. I'm only doing that because of the time constraints and because you're such a varied audience. I'm sure some of you have had, okay, I'll slow down a little bit. Thank you, Marjan. So inhale, send the breath down gently. Keep your aperture small. It's like sprinkling sand. You shouldn't see much movement from the abdomen. You shouldn't see really much movement at all because you're sending it down in such a trickle that it starts to fill up the bottom until it gently expands in three dimensions, the front, the side, and the back. You should also feel more of a lengthening in the spine and a postural corrective, and sometimes things pop, depending on how well you're able to do this. And when you exhale, it's like a tube of toothpaste. Start the squeezing from the bottom so that you get all of the toothpaste out. You know, I hate it when people hit the middle and then you have the bottom with toothpaste still in it. It drives me insane. There you go. We have some people who are in agreement. So you start your squeezing. I'm going to show you what it looks like just with my hands to give an illustration. If I'm showing you from the side, you'd see this narrowing as the air left from here, and you'd see the narrowing as the air left from here. And then, of course, you'd see the same thing happening in this region. And then finally, you'd see this coming in this region when I'm completely empty. Okay. So that's a tool you can play around with. That particular one, I strongly, strongly, strongly advise that you do on a daily basis. I call it exploration breath. The purpose of the exploration breath is literally to create space from the inside out. You may notice sometimes if you're sitting, let's say I'm sitting like this and I'm paying attention to you, right? I'm actually compressing this side. This is my right side. I'm compressing here, sternocleidomastoid. I'm compressing the blood supply. I'm also telling the shoulder muscles, the large ones, to fire. And I may even be dealing with the pecs and all the posterior musculature in the back just by having this posture for an extended period of time. Now, if I start doing that breath that I just showed you, what starts to happen is it becomes uncomfortable for me to maintain a compressed position if I'm sending the breath in as I just showed you. Because literally you're filling up the balloon from the inside. And as you do that, you get this support that comes from the inside that helps manifest a different posture on the outside. Does this make sense to everyone? Is anybody lost or think that this man is obviously out of his mind? Okay, good.
I'm a little bit confused.
You're a little bit confused. Who said that?
Me.
What is the confusion?
Like, what did you mean that it will be like breathing from the belly while sitting like that?
What I was explaining in this time was the internal pressure. I'm trying to look for a prop, but if you watch my hands, if I'm compressed and I'm reading to the right, my right side is compressed. If I start to send the breath down into my body as I just showed you, this is what starts to happen. Now, I haven't changed my posture. I'm literally supporting myself with the breath. I'll let the breath out on the same side so you can see what happens. See how I deepen the collapse when the air is not here? and see how there's space. Can everybody see the difference? That space is an internal support that's only set up by my breath. It's not a muscular support. It's a physical support that's created because I literally have air in my lung in that position. That's very, very useful. And we're going to get into that in a moment why. So let's do and just transition to something else for a second. I want you to use the pads of your fingers, just the pads. And we're going to start with something called tapping. The idea of this is to bring circulation to the top and to release the muscularity, because a lot of times we're holding on to things inadvertently and we can't let them go. We want to, but we can't. So we're just going to use a physical mechanism to start to do that. See if you can key into the breath that we just used before. It'll help. Or you can do something more dynamic. If you feel a release, just let it out. So let's start with tapping the center of the head. Relax the jaw. Keep the teeth apart. And really allow all 10 fingers to strike you in the top of the head. Now try to do the impossible and imagine that you have some sinkers, some weights on your elbows, and drop your elbows while you're doing this so you don't cause more tension. Good, well done. Now drop your chin slightly and start to work your way to the back of your head, keeping the same rhythm and the heaviness of the hands. The hands have to be relaxed so that they're heavy and you start to penetrate. Work your way to the side of the neck muscles. Do not hit the spine. There's nothing there that you can do that's going to make yourself happy. Hit the thick muscles. And if you feel that they really need a bit of more rub, give them more pounding. Give them more vibration. Because you're really sending vibration into the tissue. Now remember to drop your elbows again. You have weights on them and you've gotten very heavy, and this will help you to be able to pull this off. Good. And then work your way back up again and back to the center. And then relax. Make a fist. Just going to go through a few of these. Take it to the center of the forehead. And it's as if you're giving yourself, you're washing your face. And you're going to notice that your hand is perfectly fit. Come all the way down through the jaw, right down to the side of the neck, in between the blood supply and the muscularity, and hit the pec, hit the chest, and wipe it off. Change, breathe, rake all the way down. And when you get to the neck, come on through and really dig the knuckles into the chest and wipe it off. Let's do this a little bit more dynamically now that you know what it is. Don't forget to key in with the breath so you're not so that you're not holding it, so that you're not impeding the normal flow of oxygen. One way that you can make sure, if you are prone to forgetting, you can hum, you can sing, you can make a noise. People will think you're nuts, but you'll feel really good. Now after that, we're going to take something really simple. Pull down on the ears. The tongue goes down and the eyes go up as you breathe out at the same time. Inhale, nose, exhale. Let go. Again. Let go. Again, I drop with my headphones. Marvelous. Now we're going to get a little deeper. That was just a prep. You're going to need the prep because what I'm going to show you is very difficult. I consider it to be advanced because of what you have to be able to pull off simultaneously. Did you see how hard it was when you were doing the tapping to keep your shoulders relaxed, the trapezius? Did anyone have any difficulty? Did you notice the traps? Exactly. So you have to constantly keep in mind that you've got weights on your elbows to drop your trap. Because as soon as you bring your arm up, if you're not trained and conscious, it's easy to start to fire these and you don't need it. So the trapezius does not have to fire for you to elevate your arm. That's actually the deltoid's job. So you can get the deltoid to work and get the traps to release if you pay attention. Now the difference is that the traps are a lot larger and they love to get in on the action whenever they can. The problem is if you're trying to get them to release, then you can't have it at the same way. They can't be working and not working at the same time. So let's get rid of the traps for a second before we go into the next motion. Make your hands hollow. So these are hollow fists. Watch me, and then you can do it. I'm going to use a breath that I'm going to time as I strike myself. I'm going to let the air out. It sounds like this. It's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be fancy. I'm just throwing the breath towards you. If you see my hand, you'll see it's just coming from here. It doesn't matter. You can approximate it simply by breathing out. If your lips are apart, you'll get the tension out. It'll do the same thing. So, watch me. I'm literally striking the trap. I'm not hitting any bones, only hit meat. So let's try it together. Let's try to go on my rhythm. And for goodness sakes, exercise is fun. You should be smiling. So here we go. Inhale and keep moving the hand to different parts of the trap. You can turn your head. It helps. Do not strike yourself in the neck. Only the traps. Only the big stuff. Keep the hands relaxed. Keep the hands relaxed. Keep the hands relaxed. Marvelous. I'm going to move a little forward. Keep the same shape hands. Come into the back and do the same thing. This time, right along the spine. See if I can show you this way. Pardon my butt. Don't hit the head of the pelvis, the anterior PSIs. Don't hit them. Just above it, hit the muscles and try to get the rotation to come towards the outside. Now, you can do the breathing again if you like, or you can just make sure you're relaxing a little deeper breath, and you can speed it up if you're comfortable and work your way up as far as you can to the mid-back. Now try to come this way as you hit. Marvelous. Okay, we're still preparing for the exercise. So I apologize, but this was necessary. It's like making a good souffle. You have to prepare first. So now we got circulation. We have some release going on. Now I want to teach you something that's very difficult to do, and so I wanted you prepped. We can call it self-massage. We can call it PNF, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. We can call it whatever you want. Taffy, stretching, whatever. The idea is to be able to facilitate a release of the deeper muscles on your own without paying a massage therapist. So, keeping your posture relatively straight, you're going to take your right hand and place it on top of the head. And now you're going to bring your mind to putting that weight on that elbow so that you can free that trap. This is why it's hard, is because you have to keep this down while you work. If you have this right arm up, you have to consciously keep telling your trap, stay out of this. You've got other things to do. Now, the weight of your hand on your head should be enough. If you can also think about the bone being heavy, that will help you to relax this trap and increase some blood flow and just get it out of your way. Because a lot of impingements are caused in the shoulder area because that muscle's firing unnecessarily. Now, keeping the spine straight, keeping some integrity. When I say straight, keeping that lift, that vertical, we're going to start to think about the ear going down towards the shoulder, and you're going to keep looking at me, and that'll help you to keep in the right position. Now, the mistake people make when they do this is they start to pull, If you start to pull with this right hand, you're going to now engage that trap again, engage muscles that you don't want engaged, and you're not going to really facilitate a release. So you have to actually think about the bone being heavy, and you can give it a little gentle assistance, but I don't want you pulling. I want you releasing that bone down towards the floor to open the left side. Now, because I'm me, this is not enough. So let's get more dynamic. We're going to take the left hand and take the fingertips, and we're going to stretch those fingertips down towards the floor and try to actually see if we can seek the floor with our fingers, really reaching it away. At the same time, we're pulling away from the opposite side. And when I say pulling away, I'm talking about what's happening in the neck, not you actually tugging like a crazy person. You have to do a little work, but you have to be, let's say, incremental and sensitive to what you're doing in order for it to work. Now take a nice inhale for me. I mean a nice one. Feel the space you're increasing? Keep increasing that space. Keep increasing that space. Now on the exhale, now you can pull a little bit and really separate the side neck and really feel the sternocleidomastoid kind of being stretched way beyond where you normally would think is possible. But don't quit yet on me. I want you to flex the left hand and pull the fingertips up until you touch your elbow. Yes, he said pull the fingertips up until you touch your elbow. And if you're able to do this, I want the credit, and we can go on tour, and I can make a lot of money. Now push the palm down more. Hold that action and bring your chin down to your chest while keeping all of that happening. Yes, he said bring the chin to your chest while keeping all that happening. You still have the dynamic. You're still pushing the palm away. You're still wishing this would stop. You're still breathing. You're still smiling. And you're still reaching your chin down towards your chest. And lo, I think we've made it. Now really engage and press the palm down. Bring your mind back to the right shoulder. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then slowly let it all go and come back. Okay. I want you to notice something. You see the symmetry on my body? I don't know how many of you were looking at me during this process, but do you see any change in the symmetry in my body? Do you notice something in your own body? Do both sides feel the same?
Your shoulders are more relaxed.
Which one?
Your left one.
This is right.
Your left.
Exactly. Yes, I have significantly more space in here. This is what happens if you only do one side. This is what you do to people who you don't like. You give them a session with one side, and then you change countries. And that's how you get your revenge. But you have to also think about this too. We do this to ourselves all the time. If you have a handbag that you carry on one side, this is what you're doing to yourself. If you carry that handbag for 30 or 40 years, you've changed the entire bone structure. So you have to really understand how quick.
Sorry, Emory, I can't hear you. You're muted.
I'm unmuted now, right? So see that bias, how quickly we came to that bias? You can just nod. We can do this to ourselves for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. If you have a bag on one side, if that's your habit, if you lean on one side, that's your habit. You're literally changing the bone structure. You're changing the length of the tendons. You're changing the fundamentals of your skeletal system. You're compromising blood flow on one side, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how important symmetry is. And that's how important this bilateral, training is, that you want to center yourself. So we're going to go through the other side, but we're going to go through it a lot quicker. Steve, how much time do I have? Okay. Ready? We're going to just go through this like pros. So, left hand goes on top of the head. The weight goes into the bone drops, the shoulder is free. We start to take that weight and it facilitates movement. When we've moved a significant amount and we're happy with that and we realize we need more, we take the right hand and we reach the fingertips dynamically down towards the floor. As we breathe in, we feel space being created, and as we exhale, we put more effort in stretching the fingertips down to the floor. And now we're using what people call proprioception, neuromuscular facilitation, or contract release. We're lock and key method. There's a whole bunch of methods surrounding these kinds of things. PNF, you'd have to contract and release a little bit more, but it's fine. Same ideas. So flex the palm, fingers come up, palm shoots down. This is engaging the opposite muscles than what we want to stretch. In other words, we fire the muscles on one side to lengthen the muscles on the other. Now let's play with the breath again. Get a little deeper into the stretch. Go back to thinking about the left arm, thinking about how heavy it is to free that trap. Relax that shoulder. Take another breath for me. Exhale, press palm down. Now you can put a little bit more effort into separating that neck by bringing your head a little bit more over to the left side if you dare. Don't allow your spine to get compromised. Keep your integrity in your spine. Gently turn the chin towards the chest while keeping the dynamic. Bring the chin down towards the chest. Keep the dynamic. Keep pushing that palm down. Keep wishing it'll stop. Inhale nose, exhale mouth. Here comes the smile. Now really go for it and bring the chin into the chest. Go back to thinking about the left bone again, the elbow again, so you can release that trap and get in there and get that stuff out. And then relax everything gently and come back up. Keep a vertical and just gently shake the head to release both sides, keeping the weight in the elbows and dropping. And because I'm who I am, I just can't stop myself. I can't help it. It's like a disease. It just keeps coming on to me. Take your left arm. Make sure you have nothing behind you when you do this exercise. Take your left hand. This is my left hand. Take your right hand. Palm down on the wrist. Right hand does all the work. Lift that arm up. Make sure you're clear behind you. Make sure you're clear. Relax. Come back. Relax. Come back. Relax. Come back. Let it go. Relax. Come back. Relax. Come back. Relax. Come back. Other side. Up. Make sure you're clear. Relax. Come back. Relax. Come back. I shouldn't be doing this seated, but I'm faking it. So I'm letting you know I'm faking it because I'm not trying to damage myself. If we weren't on camera, I don't want to have to adjust the camera, so I'm faking it. I'm pretending that I'm clear behind me. Keep the impetus in the elbow as you drop. Boom, boom, ha, ha, ha. Boom, boom, ha, ha, ha. One more time. Boom, boom, ha, ha, ha. Now, pretend that somebody's holding your wrists. Pretend that somebody's holding your wrists. Same thing. Choom, choom. Choom, choom. Steve, bring your elbows in closer. Choom, choom. Good. Somebody's holding your wrist. Everybody bring your elbows into parallel, not so turned out. Ready? You have somebody holding your wrist. They let go. Choom, choom. They catch. Choom, choom. They catch. Allow your scapula to dance. Dance of the scapula. Choom, choom. Huh. One more. Choom, choom. Huh. Good. Now because it's me, and it's like a disease, and I can't stop myself. Inhale, hold, squeeze. Exhale, release. Make the ugliest face that you possibly can. Crack some glass. Inhale, squeeze. Exhale, let go. Mais uma vez. One more time. Inhale, squeeze. Let go. Can't help myself. Knock on mouth. One more time. Lift. Let go. Good. Bravo. How much time we got, Steve? We got 10 more minutes, right? Steve is muted and he's talking.
Slightly more than that, yeah.
Okay, that makes me happy. So, are you guys in for a little bit more? Can we go deeper? Because I'm still in the prep phase now. Can we go deeper? Can I hear some voices? Ask to
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, let's go deeper.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Keep it unmuted for a second if you can.
Yes.
Okay, so listen to me.
Yes.
Yes.
When we're talking about pain, sometimes you have to have discomfort in order to alleviate the pain. So what I'm going to ask you to do, that, generally you'd have more prep or more warm up or different sequencing, but to make my point, if you have room, I want you to be able to sit on the floor, and I want you to be able to extend your legs. I'm going to show you the posture in a seating posture, just because if I go down on the floor, I have to move the camera and all that stuff. So I'm going to show you where I'm at. I'm extending my legs, but my knees are bent. Everybody can see that, right? I'm going to lift my chest up, right? You see my boobies. I'm giving you boobies. So you lift your boobies. Now I'm coming forward and I'm bringing boobies to you. Now I'm placing my abdomen on my legs until finally I'm going to just drop my head and I'm holding on to my feet. So if you're able to get to this posture on the floor, you have option 1, keep your knees bent, and you'll be dealing more with your lower back. And I see Mary Yoga over there. Mary Yoga, you look very good. So this is the idea, Mary. You're flexible. If you bend your knees slightly, you're going to be dealing with opening your lower back. It doesn't matter how flexible we are, right? As soon as we straighten our legs, we have to deal with the whole hamstring group and the connectivity from the glutes all the way down. Gastrocs, everything. When you straighten your legs completely, you have a lot more muscles on board. So if you're finding that your lower back is the issue and you're not getting space, my suggestion always is soften the knees. Doesn't matter how flexible you are. It's not about can you straighten them. It's about focusing on a particular muscle group on purpose. Does this make sense to everybody? Even to the ballerinas in the group? Now, so with the knees soft, drop your head, because that's going to tell your body where you're going to go. You'll notice that as soon as you drop your head, it signals to your body to follow it. The rule of thumb is the body follows the head. Otherwise, we call that the guillotine effect. Okay? Yes, that's one of my jokes. So, letting the head relax down indicates to the body that's where it should go. Now I want you to do that exploratory breath that we talked about. Send the breath into the areas that you need that are compressed. You're going to know they're compressed because it's your body. You're going to have a difficult time sending the air to anywhere in your abdominal or chest region because you're bent over. Take advantage of the fact that you're bent over and send it to the posterior areas. Send it to the lower back, send it to the kidneys, send it to the lower spine. You can even send it to the insertion point where the buttocks meets the hamstring. So you can literally think about sending the air to the butt and think about the release you can have. Now here's the other concept. Lift your head for a second and look at me, but don't lift your chest. Keep everything else down. So pretend I'm in front of you if the camera's not directly in front. Now lift your chest, but keep your abdomen down. So you're literally pulling your chest, you're pulling the boobies away from your tail. So pull your head by virtue of pulling your chest away from your tail. Feel that dynamic, feel that space? Now as you exhale the next time, drop your head and bring your head towards your feet. So in other words, elongate like a rubber band. I hope I've made myself clear. This is harder than it looks to explain on camera. So make your head get closer to your shins or your ankles by thinking about how you're getting longer rather than worrying about whether you're going down. I don't care about down. I care about long. Now, if you're game, slowly straighten your legs with your palms holding onto your feet from the top. But don't force it. It's not necessary to force it. Slowly straighten the legs. Keep your palms on top. And really pull your pinky toes back, and then it'll be exciting. As the pinky toes go back, the excitement goes. Now drop your elbows again and think about that weight. Now lift your heart, everybody. Just lift your heart. Let your head come up slightly, but it's all about heart. I want you to give me some love. Lift your heart. I want to see everybody's heart. So keep lifting your heart. Your abdomen hasn't moved much. Your abdomen is actually still making contact with your thighs if possible. Lift your heart. Lift your heart. Lift your heart. Now go down and go forward and breathe out and stay for a moment. Now let's go back to the exploratory breath. Close your eyes for a second. Start to send that breath back to that place again. I'm just going to give you 1 minute of just releasing in the posture. Do not come out of the posture, please. And I just want you to listen and breathe. And slowly let go, relax the shoulders, roll up through the spine. People generally say shake it out, but I'm going to say let it out. I think shaking sometimes when you're not ready for it can also cause some issues. So let's say let it out rather than shake it out. So I'm going to tell you what I did to you. And I'm going to tell you that for me, I don't care about the vocabulary. So let's get to that point first. Vocabulary for me is irrelevant. It's always principles and application of principles, what's appropriate and what's not. There is no one size fits all. Anytime you go to somebody and he gives you the same treatment he gave somebody else, he's not looking at you. If you came to me at 12 o'clock and then came to me at 12:15, you get a different treatment if you were the same person, just because the time of day is different. It's always conditional on observation and what your body is telling you and what your body is telling me if I'm working with you. If you're working by yourself, it should always be looking at yourself and understanding what you need then, and then applying the principles. So the first thing we did was we started to manipulate the breath. The breath gives you more control over yourself. If you don't have control over yourself, it's very, very difficult to be able to have anything happen on purpose. You don't want things happening on accident unless it's like a surprise party. But you don't want your exercise to be a surprise party. So the breath has to be as a communication tool. And when you're in pain, which I often am right now, I've got some stuff going on with my knee. Believe me, all the stuff I've broken over the years, I am a master at this stuff. So the idea is to always make sure that you have a level of control. It's like a volume, and the breath is the thing that does that. The tapping is a nice way to bring circulation to certain areas and to release. I think Traeger is a nice method that works with vibration, and it's kind of a lock and key method. It's rather than telling the body what to do, it makes suggestions. So when you're in pain for, let's say you have a range of motion issue in your shoulder, and you've got muscles that are basically firing and not allowing your arm to raise, or they're frozen and not allowing your arm to raise. And if somebody comes and is like, hey, I think what you need to do is stretch. And they take your arm into a range and your body totally freaks out because the reason it's contracted is trying to protect itself. So when you do something, what I call sub-threshold, it allows for you to get into the body in a way in which your body isn't going to try to protect itself. Does that make sense to everyone? So there's a couple of ways you can play with sub-threshold. You can minimize the range of motion, right? Circles are generally a way in which we can free things, right? So if I'm doing a shoulder rotation, I'm doing a rotation to try to get into this part of my body. At a certain point in the rotation, I might find discomfort and pain. So I've determined to utilize this as a tool. What do? I decrease the circle. I can make the circle so small that you may not even see the circle now, but I'm still doing the same action. So sometimes sub-threshold gets a lot more than you saying, oh, I have to do it like this because yesterday I did it like this. Because when I was 20, I did it like this. Because I did it like this, when I was in the Olympics. Kathy Grant used to say, every day is different. You always treat yourself how you are at that moment. Even how you were 15 minutes ago can be irrelevant. So by paying attention and checking in, you get a much more effective therapeutic experience. Does that make sense to everybody? So the tapping brought the circulation and start to also release the muscles. You will find that it's very difficult for muscles to hold on when they're giving vibration. You can play this game with somebody. If you ask somebody to hold you really tight and you try to pull away from them, you can't, and you just start to vibrate. You just start to shake it, and you'll find it's very difficult for the other person to hold you because there's something about vibration that communicates to the body to release. So just think about that. The tapping actually is a communication of vibration. You can literally vibration. Shaking is a communication of vibration. So we can use that as a therapeutic tool. Yes, what Mary is doing over there. It's all kinds of ways that you can tap, you can hit. Just remember, your intention matters. You can hit yourself with the intention of release and relax, or you can hit yourself and end up bruising the tissue and being very unhappy. I see this a lot with people who are doing a lot of rolling recently because in the States, at least, it's become this catch-all phenomenon where everyone thinks that rolling is going to cure cancer. So if you start rolling, be careful that you don't roll yourself into bruises, and also make sure that your body texture is appropriate what you're rolling on. So if you're using a foam roller, make sure that the density is appropriate for you. When I was, training dancers and stuff like that, we used harder things because their bodies are like stone. But most of us, we don't need that. I like the white foam ones personally over the black ones that seem to be like pieces of granite. And if you keep rolling and rolling and rolling, you're going to make the fascia unhappy. And I'm telling you, if you bruise the fascia, you're going to be a very unhappy human being, particularly if you already have issues. So too much, too little, basically, same problem. So the squeezing and releasing is basically contract release. You get the muscle to fire a lot so it can release suddenly. And so the position and the bone is different. So it's less likely to press on a nerve and less likely to impede blood flow. Does everybody understand those concepts? So when I'm teaching my teacher students, I try to teach them the application of concepts because I don't like people basically to be robots. I like them to be able to take the concept and utilize its ideas. So if you know that circulation is important and you know that vibration is a way that you can use to release and relax, can anybody give me an idea how they might use that concept and what the exercises they may be doing now? Anything that you've done, and if you guys are familiar with it, don't say anything. I want somebody who's just thinking about it, who isn't like doing it every day. What about you, Roseanne? You gonna tell me something? No? Somebody say something. Anybody? Any concepts? How would you use vibration? How would you use any of those things that I talked about to augment something that you may be doing recently? Or how maybe you can make up something. What could you make up based on that to free, let's say, to free your hip or free your neck? Okay, I don't have any talkers today. All right.
Okay, Emory, I'll say something. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. So with the vibration, I think they do this in Traeger as well, is using...
Yes, you do.
So the syncopation would be like you establish a rhythm and then you modulate that rhythm to communicate different possibilities of release and mobilization. And
so what's that mean in English for the cheap seats? What's that look like?
I didn't hear.
What does that look like for people who don't know what? That's too abstract. Give us an example.
Okay. So hold on, I'm just looking for, I lost your image. So you establish a rhythm. Everyone can do this. Just pick a rhythm, pick a tempo. And now just do a little bit of variation on that. So you could maybe have a tempo in your hand and then you include your elbow. And then just keep playing with how the oscillation is expressing itself. So you have a waveform.
Marvelous. So I'm cutting you off right there. This is my session. How dare you hijack my session? Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that. Someone kill that man.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I lost you.
Kidding. So, great idea. And we have something in 7-Star Kung Fu called looseness training. And looseness training is very important because when you try to facilitate power through the limbs from the core, in other words, if you try to generate some power from here and you're not relaxed, then you're going to hurt anything along the chain that isn't released. It could be the shoulder, it could be the elbow, it could be the fingers. Wherever that comes to that isn't letting go is going to get the whammy because it's not coming out into the world. So I love Traeger. I've always liked Traeger because I thought it was smart work. And these concepts, by the way, you find in many different systems. And the reason that I've studied so many different systems is because I found that a lot of things were fractured or they had limited use cases. So for some things, they were great, but then they didn't go beyond that. And so in order to have a complete understanding or more tools, I started to study multiple disciplines over extended periods of time. So I'm not a tourist, like I would study Pilates for 20 years or gyrotonic for 20, Laban and all these other things simultaneously. And then you start to see these intersections where the work really is indistinguishable from the other. Like a good ballet teacher, may know a lot of this stuff because they've been working with their own body and their students for so long and they need to figure out how to recover from injuries. So I like to take some questions real quick because I know I can see Steve's getting that look on his face. When Steve gets that look, I start to get worried.
I might just say to the people who do need to sort of stand up and move or get away or something, you can do that and Emory will continue to take the questions here. Just so you have permission.
But if you do leave, I'm going to take it completely personal and we've been watching you and we know where you live. So I just want to point that out. We have satellites. Who's got a question for me? Come on, somebody. Galia? Can you unmute? Because I can't.
They can unmute themselves.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, how can I apply that to the yoga practice?
Well, Galia, depending on which system of yoga you practice, you may have a lot of these things inherent. What I find that bothers me recently about yoga is that I'm finding little yoga in the yoga. So once upon a time, when I used to train yoga, there was only 2 schools in New York City, and both of them were great. Now, if I throw a cherry, I'm going to hit a yoga teacher, it's going to bounce off and hit a Pilates teacher, and they're both going to suck. Yes, he said it live. So you have to understand that the information is more important than the name of the technique. When I was coming up in the systems, if you wanted to become a teacher, you had to be selected, apprentice, and then you could take a certification course. And that's after many years discipline in it. So yoga at the fundamental level is breath, mind, and postural union. So I see a couple of issues with some of the things I've been watching, which is and not everyone. There's some excellent people out there, don't get me wrong. And when you find them, you stay with them and you get all you can get. Breath is important to being able to stay in those postures and work in the posture. I don't see enough information from a lot of the classes I'm seeing with how you work in a posture. Postures that are inherently static are not really without motion because everything internally is working. If you try to stay in a posture for an extended period of time, you immediately realize there's a lot of work to be done to stay there. When I used to take Iyengar yoga way back in the day, when I finally made my way up to the advanced class, I was perplexed because in the other classes we had been doing so many postures, and in the advanced class there was only 4. And I'm like, there's 4 postures in the advanced class? I thought I was going to die. 2 hours, 4 postures. I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to discorporate and die. And the only way I was able to get through that class was because of the fundamentals of breath and release. And the teacher was very attentive to making the micro adjustments so that when you did release and relax, she was able to make the posture, the bones stack in the right position, and to facilitate you being able to work in the posture, to be able to elongate in one direction, elongate another, keeping the vertical axis, releasing the feet, all of those things that she was able to talk us through. So I would say how you utilize these things is a matter of imagination, and also you have to be more familiar with it. Obviously, I've only given you just dip your toe in it, but I wanted to have you at least understand that these things exist and to focus on concepts and understanding concepts and principles. And then you can basically go off and you can do a lot. So don't just follow people and regurgitate posture if you don't understand how to work in them. And this goes for any discipline. There's a lot of martial artists out here doing Tai Chi Chuan and they're just following the person in front of them, but they don't know how to work in the posture. This goes for dance. This goes for basketball. You have to understand principle in order to really be able to embody an art form. Otherwise, you're not embodying the art form. You're just copying the art form. And unfortunately, some of that stuff has been passed down for a few hundred years. You'll hear it. I'm doing it exactly the way my teacher did it. Well, that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing it exactly the way your teacher's doing it. You should be better. You should be understanding the concepts and being able to change those for the individuals who you're working with. And as you get older, you need to change it for yourself. Because I'm a lot different now that I'm in my 50s than when I was 14. Somebody else, give me something else. Give me something else. Come on, revved up.
Now, I'm sorry, Emory, but I can't let anyone else come because we got to do the switch over.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying this. And that was...
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to drop an F-bomb or not, but I think I am. But that was a fucking good session there. Really bloody enjoyed it. I mean, you're a New Yorker, so it's okay there. It's just on the West Coast that maybe it's not as allowed. But
I don't curse.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, so that was an incredible session. Really enjoyed it, and really enjoyed the emphasis you put on lengthening rather than the other side that's sometimes done with that. So thank you so much for that. I know that you have a website coming out that's maybe not quite ready yet. So is that correct?
It's not quite ready, but I'm going to give you the URL anyway, because you can still sign up. I was told today the functionality for actually signing up for the newsletter works on the site. So it's www.em, it's my initials, -studio, my God, did I forget the rest of it? Should be online.org. O-R-G.
And we'll try
and I really hope that that's correct. Thanks, Emory, so much. Karen, I really wish I had the chance to ask a question, but my battery died. You know what? These guys have been really kind to ask me to do these things, and I'm probably going to do another one, and maybe I can squeeze out some more time. The problem is that I got like 45 years of information, and I get excited.
Get off excited.
So, and I love the work, and I love helping people. So, yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, Steve, and thank you, my wonderful, wonderful studio audience online. And you guys are fantastic, and I hope you have a great day.